Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour. You know what? Where's Hawk at? Listener discretion advised. Pansy.
Welcome back to the Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour. I am Electro. Bono is out of commission again this week. You know, he's a busy man. He's got a lot of things on his plate right now, but the show must go on. So I brought in my buddy Caesar, who's been on the show before.
I ain't got shit to do.
He came in. He came
Unemployed.
right in. He came right in.
I've been sitting in the green room this whole time waiting to...
With the Samsung.
Yeah, that's the thing. We make our guests wait out there for a while. They gotta want it. They gotta want it. And as always, Ozzy over there on the keys, producing the hell out of the show. I always wait till the end of the show to do it, but I don't know why. I should do it up front. Make sure to follow us on social media. Look for us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. Just type in the Electro and Bono Movie Power Hour on Google and just let Google do its thing and like, subscribe, and all that stuff.
Do you guys do TikTok?
No, but I mean, we might have to.
At some point, yeah. Well, again, if you do listen just off of links or whatever, go on Spotify, go on Google Play or Google Podcasts now, wherever you listen to podcasts, and hit subscribe. Because waiting for us to make a post or something, you're gonna miss some shit. So just subscribe. Fucking apps are so good now.
Exactly, it's super simple. Like literally, you could just type the name of the show into any app. It's gonna pop up.
Yeah, and like we always say, if it doesn't, send us a DM and let us know that if not.
And also be sure to listen to other shows on the Salad Bites Media Network. We got Salinas Underground podcast hosted by Ozzy himself. And you know he's got a great show about Salinas, and just did an episode about what was it about? The beer
history. The beer history of this town. And the next one's gonna be about the budget, dude. It's gonna be crazy.
There you go, little sneak peek, guys. Little sneak peek.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
I frequent on that show. I co-host on occasion, special guest. So yeah, if you want to hear more of me, I'm over there. There's also, we got the 831 Comadres for all you ladies out there.
Señoritas.
All the Latinxes.
You want to hear some Latinx perspectives, you go over there and you follow the Comadres. And then we got the Nakama boys out there. What is that, just Nakama?
Yeah, the Nakama podcast, Nakma, dude. Those dudes are very popular in Japan and France.
Perfect.
Wow.
If you like anime, listen to that. I don't know.
Good anime podcast, so check them out. So yeah, just support all the other shows on the network if you can. You run out of other podcasts to listen to, give us a try, man. Why not? Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
We got episodes coming out all the time.
Got an hour, you're sitting around, you ain't doing shit.
Yeah, so there's constant episodes coming out from all of these shows throughout the week. So there's plenty of content out there for you guys to listen to. So
crazy.
Yeah, if you dig the show, you dig the vibe, go over there and listen to all the other shows. All right, now we got the business out of the way. We got a couple little tidbits here. Netflix June releases, a couple notable things over here.
Yeah, it is June 1st. So
June 1st. The Big Lebowski, one of the fucking greatest movies ever made by fucking man. You could go ahead and stream that right now for the month of June. Act quick.
Yeah, you better get on it.
$1 Million Baby for all you hanksters out there, or swanksters, I mean.
Or boxers.
Hilary Swank's, Oscar-winning performance. All you swanksters, I see you guys out there.
Clint Eastwood just turned 92 as well. So.
That's also, any day now.
his one of his body doubles just passed away today, actually, at 92 as well.
Wow, fuck.
Clint. You better not be in the middle of making a movie. I think that's a good chance that'll happen. Clint Eastwood's going to die in the middle of making a movie.
Fuck. He's local, too. He lives around here, no?
Yeah, he lives in Carmel. They'll still finish it with CGI, right? BoJack style.
His son will come in and
They'll
finish
Tig
it.
Notaro him.
Oh, a fucking a little favorite. The classic Swordfish is on Netflix right now. Jesus,
Halle Berry.
fun little story. We ate some mushrooms a couple months ago, and then Lily was talking about how much she liked Swordfish, and I was like, "Hey, that is not a good movie." And she's like, "Yes, it is." Like, "Oh yeah, I love that movie." And I was like, "You haven't seen it since it came out, right?" And she's like, "No, but I remember really liking it." And it was like 2 a.m, and we're elevated. And it was on HBO Max, and I was like, "Okay, bitch, we're doing this. We're doing this." And yeah, it is definitely one of the worst movies ever made. But it's very fun to watch, just how absurd it is. And John Travolta is just a fucking crazy person. Hugh Jackman, I'm sure Hugh Jackman looks at some of the things he did in that movie and is genuinely embarrassed. I'm sure he's ashamed of this. I'm sure of it.
He's not going to be on Netflix this month. He's like, nope, not this month.
And then rounding it off, the Starsky and Hutch. That's one of mine and Bono's favorite movies right there.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
I don't know. Favorite might be a little much, but we watched that movie a lot when we were kids.
It's a good movie, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some good movies to look out there for on Netflix this month. If you were not aware, because Netflix will fucking tell you what's going on all the time. Netflix is kind of like a Google thing too, right? It's taking over the world.
I just saw, so you go on there and they're advertising their cartoon, Tuca and Birdie. I don't know if you ever saw that one. It was like a BoJack, not spinoff, but it think the creators off. So yeah.
I think I've heard about it, yeah.
I loved it. It was really good, but they only did like 1 season, maybe 2. I think they just did 1. And so all of a sudden they're advertising it again, and I'm like, why? You're not making new seasons or whatever. Well, Comedy Central bought it, and they're making new seasons. So Netflix is like, hey, we used to do it too, man. There you go. Like, hey, why not?
Start here.
Yeah, we're the OGs. It's probably fully uncensored because it is fucking graphic. It is very sexual.
Look out for that one out there, then, guys.
It was weird because they're birds, so it's like can only be so
you're
sexual.
like very fucking turned on. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it awoke something in me for sure.
My bird was enjoying it.
Reminded me of my neighbor's chickens.
Anyways, yeah, that's the Netflix stuff, and then a little news out there. Was this breaking like today or within the last couple of days?
The Thor?
Yeah,
Thor film wrapped today.
Thor 4, the follow-up to Thor Ragnarok, which is like one of the funnest fucking MCU movies out of all the 20, I don't know how many there is now, 23 of them or something. It's up there, top 5 great movies. So Thor 4, highly anticipated, still being directed by Taika Waititi, who is a legit fucking genius.
Fuck yeah.
If you fucking didn't know, go watch fucking What We Do in the Shadows. That television, the movie and the television show are fucking amazing. Television show is really good, man.
Fuck yeah.
And he also directed Jojo Rabbit. So yeah, great director. We got Chris Hemsworth, that honey.
Do we have a release date? I know it wrapped today, but how does... we're looking at like 3 months?
Fuck no.
Maybe Christmas time?
No, I'm certain that's probably...
Next summer.
Yeah, next summer.
Oh, okay.
They got a lot of CG to fucking add to it.
Yeah.
Plus, things are barely opening up. You want as many people as possible.
Big money.
Yeah. Big money, come on, big money, come on, big money.
Yeah, well, I think I should wrap up the current events. I believe we should start looking up like who died, right? We should.
Clint Eastwood's body double.
Okay. Well, you know what? Damn, we did it all today. Yeah. We got all the
boxes.
We got all the news today.
There was a lady that was in Face Off that also died today as
Damn.
well. She was in her 50s, so that one wasn't
a tragic death. Then
Unexpected. Should we have a moment of silence for
Nicolas Cage that did it?
Fuck no, Nicolas Cage. He'll maybe stop your heart with his acting. That might make him a murderer, but no. Never direct murder.
I'm a good actor.
Great actor. How dare you? This is a safe space for Nicolas Cage on this podcast. We do not fucking talk shit about.
We let that rat out of that cage.
So all three of us last week went to go watch the new Saw movie, which is not called Saw at all. It's called Spiral, which is the most confusing, stupid decision.
Well, that was the symbol, right?
Spiral.
It's one of the symbols. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a spiral. There's a spiral in Saw.
There's a spiral in the movie, so.
It's so well done. You think they used a stencil or that was all by hand?
Oh, that was pure hand. That was pure jigsaw.
Yeah, that was skill.
Yeah, so we went to go see that. We're like, let's do a little episode on it. I had a good time watching it. It's not a good movie, but I had a good time watching it.
It was fun enough, I guess.
Yeah. But before we
slow.
get to that, I kind of wanted to get back to get to the fucking Mac Daddy that started this whole thing off with, which is the original Saw. I personally I watched it. It came out in 2004, so I watched that movie.
It's an OG fan.
I was 17.
I was 16. I was in high school.
Damn.
Which me and Caesar went to high school together.
That's right.
Right? So
What month did it come out?
it came out in October 29th.
Okay, I was 17.
So from 2004 to 2011, there was a Saw movie every October.
Those shits are coming out.
They were pumping them out every year for Halloween.
Halloween?
Yeah. There was even this I think by the third or fourth one, one of the taglines is is it Halloween or is it October? And then it must be Saw. Hell yeah, buddy. But yeah, so the original Saw has an IMDb rating of 7.6 out of 10. A pretty mean 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie was not very critically well received. I remember
People
that.
went down for gore, right? I guess.
Yeah. Got an 84% audience score, though. So most people, including myself, enjoyed this movie.
The people usually have it pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the audience score.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have
Critics are dicks.
actually pulled up 2 little snippets from the reviews. Yeah.
I was like, ew. Ew, David.
It wasn't Ebert, but it was Roper. Remember after Siskel died?
Yeah, it was Ebert and
It
Roper.
was Roper. So Richard Roper, the little line from his review: Saw has art house ambitions, but is nothing but a glorified snuff film. I despised this movie. It's like,
Well, that
Jesus.
aged like milk.
And I take some offense by saying it's a glorified snuff film. Do you know what snuff is? Snuff implies people died in the making of this movie. Not only died, but were murdered. So that's what snuff is. You should definitely not put that a movie is glorified snuff.
Well, they was calling it gore porn, I guess.
Torture
right?
porn, which
yeah.
I'm going to get into that. Another little
Speaking of your hard drives getting confiscated.
another little tidbit from a review from Dennis Thompson from the Washington Post says the internet film geeks are salivating over this one, but humans who live above ground, including horror fans, will find themselves only, I don't even know this word, what? Futilely entertained and more consistently appalled.
That's pretentious and disrespectful
That's
as fuck.
that's just super fucking mean. Like,
It's the Washington
that
Post.
guy.
yeah, if you have glasses and are in a basement somewhere, then you're probably gonna go crazy. But regular people that live above ground should be appalled by this.
Literally dehumanizing film
Even horror,
viewers.
even say, including horror fans, including horror fans. Do you know how, like, since like
If you like Evil Dead, you're gonna hate this shit.
exactly. there's been movies, there's been people making gross horror stuff, body stuff or whatever. I mean, depending on what has been legal, and like, you know, before it was like illegal to show certain things, but I mean, the envelope was always pushed as far as it could be pushed.
Well, and I hate to I hope this doesn't derail the conversation, but what was the horror movie scene like back then? Were we in like, was it languishing? Was it good? Was there a bunch of good Jasons and like, was that being revamped
No,
yet?
that's actually a good question. Because I believe this kind of did bring back horror.
Yeah, because we had Scream. I know you did last summer, all that late 90s, early 2000s. And then after that, after 9/11, you know, you couldn't do that shit.
Yeah. It was frowned upon.
You had to be soft. Adam Sandler make a comeback, you know?
Let's see.
So that's where I'm like, yeah, you have to show respect in that if it revived the genre and read it.
I think it created a whole
gore.
Well,
You mentioned it before we recorded, maybe before we saw Spiral. You're like, it changed horror movies for years after that.
It did. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm actually about to get into that right now. So,
and it really showed those fucking reviewers.
I know.
Roper, idiot. What's your podcast like? It's Chicago Sun-Time? Never heard of that shit.
No. Oh, what do you have, a show with fucking Roger Ebert on fucking ABC?
Oh, your podcast is on paper? You have a typed out podcast? It's bullshit.
Yeah. Going to do a little history here. The first thing it was kind of known as was called splatter cinema. And that is a term coined by the great George A. Romero. And he used that term to describe his movie Dawn of the Dead. So that's like, I guess, what it first started to, and then it evolved to. But that's what it was. It's gross horror, you know, fucking zombies taking limbs apart, fucking juicy stuff, mushy stuff. Fucking
my current favorite category of porn is splatter cinema. Actually,
I was looking at Oz sweating and losing his mind trying to get that joke out, waiting for me to finish talking so he could get
it was working. You could see it ticking.
I didn't want to just cut him off. You had to be cool about it.
It's like, I don't want to forget this great joke. I hope he finishes
well, I couldn't.
soon.
Splatter cinema. I was concerned I was going to forget the word splatter cinema.
Well,
that's so good.
Luckily, we are not that high yet. You can still remember things. So yeah, he used that term to coin, like, you know, gross horror movies. So torture porn kind of was a time period from like 2003 to 2009. It's like basically the horror movies that came out from then to then were all influenced, I believe, by like Saw. And doing the research, it wasn't the first one that could be considered torture porn, but it is what made everybody be like, this is what we're doing.
Caught everyone's attention.
Yeah. What was it before? What was the...
I think from what I was looking at, I think this whole thing maybe got started. Well, it didn't get started, but Rob Zombie did it first with House of a Thousand Corpses in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was torture. That's people being taken and tortured. Like, and it being pretty like nasty like movie to watch, where your protagonists are the bad guys and you're seeing them do fucked up things to people and then they do not suffer any consequences.
Yeah.
For it. It's just like a pretty fucking downer of a fucking movie.
But it's still campy enough that it's like, it's not realistic.
Yeah, it's like Rob Zombie was trying to, you know, make it like visually cool or whatever.
He's like, I need to put my wife in a movie bad.
I personally do not like that movie. I think it's a pretty trash film, but you know, it has plenty of fans. But I think it's Rob Zombie just, yeah, like you said, he hires his wife on every single movie he makes. She's pretty hot. She's not a good actress.
Nope.
And he just doesn't hire a lot of good actors. He hires a lot of bad actors. So his movies kind of look good, maybe have decent stories, but a lot of the acting is super over the top or bad, and so I don't enjoy a lot of his
That clown got
movies.
pretty famous.
Yeah, Dr. Spaulding. Dr. Spaulding. Is it Doctors? No. Captain Spaulding.
Captain Spaulding, yeah.
So, and then after that, they did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. It came out in 2003. Same year as House of a Thousand Corpses. So that's a remake of a kind of movie like this, from the 70s.
But was it as gory as like...
So, yeah, actually, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the first Saw movie have something in common, which the first Saw movie has a really bad reputation for being, like, really gory and grotesque. A lot of that shit is implied in the first one. They didn't show too much. They would cut away. They would show you the aftermath, but you wouldn't really see it. It would... But so I think it has a bad reputation for being like a really gory movie, and it's really not. Yeah. There's one shot in it that maybe is kind of gross, where a chick has like guts in her hand. She's going through somebody's guts. It's literally maybe a second and a half or something of the movie, and that's the grossest thing you see. Which is kind of gross, but. I mean, nothing you haven't seen in a fucking movie before.
Dude, in Fight Club, the guy gets human fat poured on his face, which I thought was so gross.
Yeah, so it's not that bad. We got that, and then Hostel came out in 2006. Oh, did you guys watch Hostel?
Fuck yeah. Fuck.
That's right.
That's why I've never traveled to Europe, actually.
Exactly, right?
Literally the only reason why. I have so much money.
I didn't stop Caesar. You've gone through.
And you know what? That inspired me to stay in hostels. I was like, bring it on, bitch.
Have you ever been to...
Fuck that.
What's the... It's like in Slovakia. Have you ever been to Slovakia?
No, I haven't.
Have you been around those regions? Getting close
the
to
Caucasus?
Yeah.
Any where you been?
Germany.
Oh yeah.
Bulgaria? How east have you gone? How far east have you gone?
I haven't ventured too far east. I don't know.
You went to Germany? How long did you spend in Germany?
Germany, I was there for what? About 7 days.
How were the horse?
They were great. They're very, very clean.
And
proper.
And were you scared that they were going to kill you?
No rich people kidnap you for their own gain?
I was concerned that my hair wasn't blonde and I would be murdered.
Did you get laid already? You get a little action?
Yeah,
in Germany?
a little.
You got a little sound? You met a German?
Well, no, not in Germany. I did no.
Okay, where then?
In Spain and Norway.
Okay.
Women are
fucking you
Norway.
Spanish bitches back like you did to us Mexicans.
They're all about the Mexican.
This is my fucking conquistador right here, baby. Look at my spear. That's a short sword, but it's sturdy.
Yeah. It'll do the job, honey.
It's gonna get moisture out of you.
Dual bladed.
Did you watch Hostel when it came out?
I did, yeah. I did watch that one.
That's I think what tripped me out. I saw it in the theater too. That shit was extra scary.
I watched that one in the theater. I remember I went with Caesar to go watch Hostel 2. I remember I went with you and my cousin and buddy Hugo. We went to go see Hostel 2
with Juice,
the Juice Man.
Yeah, but Hostel I think was a really popular movie, and also Quentin Tarantino slapped his name on it, which made it like more people wanted to watch it.
Producer or writer? What the fuck?
He presented it. Quentin Tarantino presents. I don't know
what does that mean?
Shit.
I don't know.
Didn't he do that for the Grindhouse shit too?
No, he directed one of those. Let's see.
Who was the Mexican guy?
Was he like
Robert Rodriguez?
I give you.
I just presented
the Hostel.
I'm gonna see if he produced it or something. Tarantino.
He probably invested some fucking money into it.
Well, I believe he knew the director. Let's see. It's executive produced by Quentin Tarantino.
All right.
I believe he knew the director.
Fuck off.
Yeah, a little cushy title there.
He knew the director, and I guess he helped make it. Or I think the director told him the story of or he had the idea for the story, and Tarantino kind of was just like, "Sounds good, write it, and I'll
slap my seal of approval on that shit.
I'll put my name on it, and then bada bing, bada boom." So
cut me a little checky.
Yeah, so that movie was pretty popular. From when that movie was released, that's when the first person said torture porn, and it's credited to this guy, to this critic whose name is David Edelstein, who's a film critic for New York Magazine and CBS Sunday Morning.
What?
And he, I believe, is the first person to have
coined the phrase,
the words torture porn. And yeah, it was related to Hostel. So then from Hostel, and like again, that came 2 years after Saw came out. Mm-hmm. But Saw was coming out every year either way.
Yeah.
And then other movies came along that were just like blatant kind of ripoffs from it. There was, or not ripoffs, but movies got gorier. Yeah. Movies got gory after that shit happened. We have such movies as there was this crappy movie called Turistas in 2006. Do you guys remember that?
I think I remember hearing that.
Who was that? Hot chick was in it. Olivia Wilde.
Was she in that?
Yeah, she's like the main chick in it. Yeah, I don't know where it takes place, but it's like a nice beach fucking setting, like some, I don't know. I haven't
Cancun.
I haven't seen it in forever. So I'm assuming it's, I don't know, yeah, somewhere in Latin America.
Always make us look bad.
But they take tourists and fucking like sell their organs or some shit.
We don't do that shit. We burn them in ritual sacrifices. Get it right.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of remakes happening at this time, and they were very gory. We had the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That one was pretty gross. You had your Hills Have Eyes remake in 2006. That was pretty gross. You had cheap knockoffs like Captivity that started that hot chick from The Girl Next Door. Remember her? The blonde?
The blonde? I that's all I know her as the blonde. I'm all wet. Can I come inside?
And she's also the blonde from Old School that Luke Wilson statutorily raped.
Nice ass.
Yeah. She was of age, okay?
Yeah, hell yeah.
In real life.
In that movie,
yeah.
No, not her character.
What about the Human Centipede? Is that right around?
Human Centipede, 2009.
Yeah, I remember that.
At the same time, this movie, The Collector, came out, who were like, because the original creators of Saw kind of left after like the third movie. And then, other writers came in, and then so some of the writers from the Saw movies actually made this movie called The Collector, which is essentially a Saw movie, but they were like, we want to tell a different story. And then, Human Centipede, another remake, Spit on Your Grave. Yeah, this movie was kind of like the main one that got it started. And the main reason was because this movie had a budget of $1,200,000.
Oh, shit.
And worldwide, it grossed almost $104 million. So yeah, they made this movie for shit, and it was very fucking successful.
Spent half the budget on Danny.
Yeah, they got Danny Glover in that motherfucker. And they're like, we got a movie. Get the bad guy from Twister, and we're in. What's his name? Cary Elwes, and he's also in Liar Liar. So he's a good guy. Yeah. Top notch.
Solid 90s.
I wonder what they paid for. I wonder if they did, or somebody was just like, "Fuck it, if it makes money, I'll take it." I don't want to be associated with this. $100 million.
I feel like Danny Glover at that point was pretty.
It was a low key.
He was not
stage of
doing much. Right?
He had to pay bills. He had to pay that mortgage.
Exactly. They were like, "Who the hell?"
Saw?
There was a smart person in the making of this movie that was like, you know what? Find somebody who used to be an A-lister who hasn't made a movie like in 2 years. Give him this script.
Offer him $50,000.
Yeah, tell him we'll give him like maybe $100,000, maybe,
and 2 lunches. That's it.
Yeah, he has to come and shoot for a week. Yeah, that's the cool thing about this movie, because this movie was directed by James Wan, and he goes off to do big and bad fucking things. The last thing he directed was the Aquaman movie, and
holy fuck,
that shit made $1 billion. Yeah, he also did the Insidious movies, or the first 2 Insidious movies, which I think the first Insidious movie might be like the fucking scariest movie ever. And it's
pretty fucking freaky, man.
And he also did the first 2 Conjuring movies. The first Conjuring is also legitimately fucking terrifying. So he did,
Isn't there a new one coming out?
Yeah, there's a new one coming out this weekend.
Diablo made me do it.
Yeah, in 3 days. Funny, and that little funny tidbit here. When we went to go see Saw last week, Caesar didn't know what we were watching, and then when he kind of found out we were about to go see a horror movie, he got
I'm out of here, man.
He was just like, "We're not gonna go see the fucking Conjuring, are we? Because if we are, like, I'm out of
here, man."
Yeah, so those movies have a reputation. Caesar was just like, "Oh, it's just a movie where people get tortured." Okay,
all right, I can handle that. I'm good.
Saw with Chris Rock, I can deal with it.
Okay. If you bring the devil into it,
I'm out.
I'm out of here. And so this movie was also written by Lee Whannell, who is actually one of the stars of the movie. This movie basically is about 2 dudes that are chained to pipes in a room. And one of them is Cary Elwes, who's a doctor, or he's a surgeon. And then you got Lee Whannell, who plays Adam. And so they're both chained to some pipes. They kidnapped Cary Elwes' family. And then they tell him, you need to cut off your foot. You need to there's a gun in the middle of the room. There's a dead dude in the middle of the room holding a gun that blew his brains out. So they're like, you need to cut off your foot, yo. Get to that gun and shoot the motherfucker in the other end of the room, or your family's gonna die and you're gonna rot in that room. You have I don't know how much time they give them. 5 hours, 3 hours or something. And, they're trying to figure it out or whatever, how to get out of this situation. But, yeah, it's like, cut off your foot and kill this guy. And so, yeah, Lee Whannell, he's not a great actor, especially in this movie. I think it's probably, the first thing he ever did. But it's sufficient for what it is.
They don't show him cutting off his foot.
They show the saw on the foot and the blood starting to come out.
It wasn't very gory. No.
They don't the leg, huh?
Yeah.
Everything's left to the imagination.
Basically.
Like Brian De Palma did it better.
Basically.
Scarface, motherfucker.
Jeez, bro. No, De Palma doesn't know. He ruled.
The dude had to cut his leg off.
Ruled at one point. Oh, I was going to... So how this movie got made is also pretty interesting too. There are a couple Aussies, Lee Whannell and James Wan.
They don't know me.
And they were from Australia.
Aussie.
And so they had the idea for this movie. They're like, we want to make a movie. We don't have a lot of money, so it has to take place mostly in one spot. They came up with this story, and then they showed it to somebody because they were going to make it for $5,000 or something.
I think, yeah.
And then somebody read it and they were like, wait, we could probably put some money on this shit.
You'll find somebody who's going to put some money down.
And we could make a real movie instead of you basically making a student film or some shit. I think they shot, I don't know how, but Lionsgate came across the fucking script and they shot a short film of one of the scenes in the movie, which I don't know how long it was, maybe 4 minutes or something. And it was just to show it to Lionsgate to fucking see if they would be interested in it. So they saw it and they were like, fuck yes. And that scene is the kind of the most iconic thing about that movie is that a woman gets put in what they call a reverse bear trap thing. It's this helmet that's basically a bear trap, but it is in her jaws, and it's gonna, if she doesn't do what they tell her to do, the bear trap's gonna open and basically rip her jaw. Again, that doesn't happen, but just the idea. I think it's more about the ideas of the shit that happen in this movie that is what's horrifying, but you don't see it fucking happen.
It's implied. It's kind of
And that lady has a minute to get up, and there's what's supposed to be a dead guy on the other side of the room. and she has to open him up, and hit the keys are in his stomach. So she has to open him up and get that key out so that she could take that thing off.
Yeah.
And then when she gets to the dude, she sees that he's alive. And she's got a few seconds to fucking make her decision on what to do. And guess what? She fucking stabs him.
She didn't fucking think twice. She
thought about it for like half a second. She was like, "You're dead." And then she just like starts stabbing him in the stomach. I'd be like, dude, like cut his throat or something. You're just gonna start digging into his stomach while he's alive. But apparently he was on a lot of heroin and didn't feel most of it. So don't feel that bad. Probably had a good time before.
Yeah. Gotta be one of the better ways to go. All heroined out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they shot that little short film, showed it to Lionsgate, and they were like, fuck yes, let's do it. Here's $1 million.
Not a penny more.
Yeah. And they just got really creative. If you watch the movie, you could tell it is a cheaply made movie.
Low budget.
Yeah, like the sets are like a lot of this takes place in warehouses, which I think, I don't know, maybe it's cheap to fucking film in a warehouse.
I'm sure LA probably has like 1 million warehouses.
Yeah.
To rent.
Yeah, there's a lot of warehouses, and so I'm pretty sure it was pretty cheap. And then
here's $20,000. Don't ask questions for the next 3 weeks, man.
Yeah, and like when the traps are happening, like I said, they don't show anything, but they did like this weird stuff to make it seem tense. Like there was a lot of the camera shaking and moving around and going around like the
circles.
person while they are like kind of freaking out about what they're gonna do. The music's like intense, but you can tell it's just like a cheap way to kind of just like
Make it more suspenseful.
Make it more suspenseful and make it be like, oh shit, but they're actually not going to show any of this stuff because they don't even got the money. They probably don't have the money to do it.
Dude, and it totally reminds me of fucking Psycho, dude.
Exactly.
Because you don't see much. It's Hershey's chocolate, the fucking thing. And it's the music that really, like, fuck the music in that movie. You're just
that's other level. That's other level. I can't compare the music in this movie to that. but yeah.
It's a great way, to cheaply add drama or suspense or whatever.
Yeah, and then also, there's like a car chase in it.
Oh my god!
You could tell that
the corniest fucking car chase in history.
You could tell that they did not have money to film a car chase. It is just like you could tell they're like in a like a stage somewhere. It's just black. It's just black, and the camera is shaking, and they're just like, ah!
And I don't even think they bought cars. They just got two motherfuckers off the street. Hey, $30. Let me borrow your fucking car.
Yeah, it's just like, and like going back and forth between the cars and stuff, but like you don't see any traffic or any buildings or anything. It's just like clearly they're in a stage somewhere, and that's like the most cheap stuff in the movie. You could tell like this is where they're cutting the fucking corners to get it done. But at the end of the day, it's still an impactful movie. It also and what probably sucks about all the rest of them is that they followed the exact same formula of it. They all do that. They all have like the cheap car chases, the camera tricks, stuff like that. And it's just like, you don't have to do that anymore. They did that.
You're big time.
You made a lot of money. Come on.
Yeah, they did that because fucking they didn't have the money. And like you could put a little bit more effort into it, man. But they did not.
Fucking stingy motherfuckers.
And then they just followed the formula because this movie jumps around too. Like Saw is very flashback based. There's a lot of flashbacks. Because people wake up, they don't know what's happening, and then like they've been drugged, and then they slowly start remembering like how they got there. I mean, that's what the first movie is, and then that's what they all turned out basically to be.
Yeah, it keeps going.
They all had this fucking same formula, but the first one is the one, and and the first one has a twist ending. They all had to have a twist. You knew at the end of Saw that it was not going to have a happy ending. Someone was going to get fucked over. And you're basically trying to guess what's
was it a different killer every time?
No. So
it was always that Jigsaw cat.
Well, Jigsaw was in all the first 7 movies. But again, very flashback based story because he dies in the third one.
Because he had like some chronic illness.
Yeah, the plot is well, at the end, spoilers, is you find out that Jigsaw was Dr. Lawrence's patient, and he was terminal. He had cancer. He's gonna die soon, and then he tried to kill himself. He like drove off a bridge and survived. Like he should have died. In his eyes, he should have died. And then it's so stupid. And then he decides that from then on that he's gonna spend the rest of his life like pushing the human body to its extremes. That like, you know, he's gonna teach people to value their lives. So he picks people that thinks are doing immoral shit or are not grateful of the life that they've been given, and he gives them a messed up test to be like, you got to do something messed up if you want to die. If you don't want to die,
or rethink your shit.
Yeah, and then if they survive, then in his eyes they've been like fucking reformed or whatever.
You can't walk now. You're reformed.
Bet you miss that tongue, don't you? Yeah. We'll be so snappy. Basically, that's what's going down. And then Jigsaw was like the dead guy in the middle of the room the whole time in the movie. That's the twist.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking crazy. I wasn't expecting that.
That was like the mind blower in the theater because you think somebody's the bad guy. It's a good movie. It is kind of Hitchcockian in the way where they kind of make you think different people are the killers throughout. For a minute there, you think it might be Danny Glover. And then you think it's somebody else, and then at the end, it turns out to be the dude that was laying in the room with them the whole fucking time. And it's like, oh shit. And then everybody's fucked. But yeah, so they came out every year up until the year 2017. That's when Saw the final chapter was released. And then
that was a lie.
Well, it was that because finally the Saw movies were not what they thought were making enough money. The first Saw movie, 1.2 million budget. Saw 2, 4 million. Oh, some big bucks here.
Fuck yeah.
And that movie grossed almost $148 million.
Damn.
Wow.
And then Saw 3, 10 million. We're moving up to 10 million on the budget. And that made almost 165 mil. Saw 4 keeps the $10 million budget, and then it goes down to 140 million profit. Mm-hmm. And then Saw 5, almost 11 million, and then it goes down to 113. So it's been going down from 164 to 139 to 113. Then they do Saw 6 for another 11 million, and that movie only made $68 million.
Oh wow!
Dang.
So they were like, oh, "Okay, I think people are done with this shit." So then they're going to release the last one, which is in 3D. It's called Saw 3D, the final chapter, and that one had a $20 million budget, which was the highest budget up to that point.
For 3D, I'm sure.
And who knows? And it made 136 million, which is not bad.
Wow,
not bad. But again, they spent 20 million, which is the most they'd ever spent on one of those.
That's not bad for
and I think it was like also they're like, all right, if we say it's the last one, more people are probably gonna go watch it because it's the last one. Yeah, you're gonna want to go see it. And then they that was in 2017. So then in what year?
2017. Fuck, it feels like
that was that one. And then
I don't even remember that movie coming out.
Oh wait, no, that wasn't. Oh no, fuck, my bad. That was in 2010.
The final chapter?
Yes. So then,
okay, that makes way more sense.
So then in 2017, they tried to bring it back.
The epilogue.
So that movie I think takes place like 10 years after the last Saw movie. And they actually used like really good directors. These guys called the Spierig brothers that we've actually talked about on this podcast before. They
sound like gum.
They directed the fucking great Ethan Hawke classic Predestination, which we have a whole episode on. You want to go listen to that first ever Hawk Talk?
Damn.
Yeah, they directed that great movie. And they also directed another Ethan Hawke movie, Daybreakers, the vampire movie. So they were good horror directors, and I was excited they were going to direct a new Saw movie, and it was called Jigsaw, but it was really like whatever, you know. No, I was disappointed by it.
It was named after the guy. That's high expectations.
Yeah. And that movie went back to a $10 million budget, and it made $102 million, almost $103 million.
Oh, shit. That's still pretty good.
And they were kind of supposed to keep it going, but I guess they decided that it wasn't worth it. I guess making $100 million off a $10 million budget is just not fucking cutting. Which that's still a pretty fucking
that's a pretty
great
healthy profit.
Yeah, that's a good return right there. And then we get into Spiral, who had a $20 million budget.
God damn.
And compared, I can't remember the Jigsaw movie, the one before Spiral. Well, that's a $10 million budget. But Spiral, what it has going for it is that it looks like an actual movie. You are going through a city, and like you could tell there's production value in
a little more
money. So it looks like more of a movie than I think all of these other ones, but it just fucking isn't. I mean, probably since the first one, they're not good. So it follows that tradition pretty well. It's just not good. And again, when Jigsaw came out and then when Spiral's going to come out, I've always been hopeful. Like, yeah, hopefully enough time has passed. Somebody else can take the reins and do something cool with it. I mean, because the Saw movies get ridiculous. After Jigsaw dies, they have to have these weird ass reasons as to why it's still happening, and it gets super complicated. Yeah, with Jigsaw, there's like, all right, we're starting over, but then they didn't do it, and now it seems like they're doing it again. And supposedly another one has been greenlit already.
Wow.
But I don't see why. So $20 million budget. Again, we are in a pandemic. Movies are still not making what they usually make. But this movie has only made $22.5 million. Oh, wow. So it's barely made its money back. And I'm sure it lost a lot of money because it was supposed to come out like fucking last year, and they had to push it and all this crap. What was pivotal about this movie, with those $20 million, the Saw franchise finally crossed the $1 billion fucking...
Damn.
The $1 billion mark. So it's at $1.002 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess just because of that, they're like, fuck it.
Good enough.
I mean, they spent like $150 million at most, right? If we add all that up, 20 million is the most.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's see, 5, 15, 25, 35, 46.
Yeah, they've
made a healthy.
Yeah, so
profit,
about
man.
80 million. They spent about $80 million and they made $1 billion.
Wow. Plus that merch.
Oh, yeah.
That fucking character.
Jigsaw has become an iconic character like Jason and Freddy Krueger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And obviously it followed in that path, in that there's 9 of these movies now. There's also around the same amount of Freddy Krueger and Jason movies. People just they're going to go see these fucking things.
Yeah. And it's nostalgia. It takes you back to high school, college years.
Slashers.
Mm-hmm.
Torture we need
porn.
Titties, though. You need gratuitous nudity.
Oh, I know. That's one thing that the Saw movies never exploited.
They never stooped that low.
Yeah, because
hot chicks and take their shirts off.
They're waiting. They're waiting to cash that ticket in.
Jason that's half the reason you're going.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
You want to see Santana?
Crystal Lake is where it's at.
Couple.
Yeah,
There's going to be bush. There'd probably be. You think there's going to be bush in this one? And it's all about creatively killing people.
While showing
bush. So I'm sure the Jigsaw character, that property, besides the movies, has made a shitload of money fucking memorabilia,
Halloween masks and shit.
That pig mask, I'm sure that's a fucking a popular thing. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
It is in my bedroom, if you know what I mean.
Oh, look, this is something that I wrote down. If you go on Vudu, which I have a Vudu, which is where you keep your digital copies of your movies.
Oh, I thought you performed voodoo.
No, I stay away from that shit.
I thought it was a Godsmack song.
No, they have they give you a couple of ratings. That's where I pulled those Richard Roper and whoever the fuck the other guy was, his little quotes. And they also they give you what parents need to know. So so they wrote this.
Grown up.
They have this little paragraph here, which is also, I thought, pretty insulting considering what this first Saw movie is. So we've already talked about where it's not very gory, very implied. It says parents need to know that Saw is the stuff of nightmares, even if a jaded horror aficionado might not find it scary. Like these assholes. The images of torture and death are brutal and explicit, lingering in the mind long after the movie ends. And it's just like...
Not for snowflakes.
That's a lie. That's a blatant lie right there. It's... If somebody was reading... obviously, you shouldn't be showing your children Saw.
Yeah, no.
Either
You're gonna be fucking
way.
Rated R. Yeah.
Creating serial killers.
Yeah. But still, I don't appreciate that fucking how mean that is right there. For the Spiral movie, a respectable 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Right.
37% on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is surprising, 75% audience score.
I like Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Samuel
And it was
Jackson.
like a fuck the police kind of thing too. So people were like, yeah, baby.
That's true. Yeah, that's so. Apparently, how this movie came to be, Chris Rock was just at a party with the right guy, and then I guess he ended up working for Lionsgate or something. They were talking about movies, and he found out he worked for Lionsgate, and he was just like, "Hey, you know what? I've always wanted."
You ever seen that Saw movie?
Well, he was like, I've always wanted to do a Saw movie, or he wanted to do something that he'd never done before. He's like, I've never done a horror movie. I like the Saw movies. I would like to do a Saw movie. And the guy was like, what? Are you sure? And he's like, yeah, and I'll get Samuel Jackson to play my dad. And he's just like,
Oh, really?
this shit's greenlit now.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it
Well, we're already at 4 million right now. Who else you got?
That shit is greenlit right now. Obviously, Chris Rock stars in this movie as Ezekiel Banks. Ezekiel, come on. Pulp Fiction, Samuel Jackson, come on,
That's
man.
true, yeah.
Come on, buddy. Max Minghella, who we know from The Social Network.
Yeah.
Marisol Nichols
Who's that? She's
plays
married.
Angie Garza,
Oh, Angie.
who's the hot
Chief, police chief.
the main bitch.
Fuck, she's so hot.
So authoritative.
Uh-huh.
I would let her.
So
I would let her
bouncy.
corrupt me. She could corrupt me any day, baby.
You know,
cuff me, bitch.
I thought they were going to show some tits in this one. I was like,
No.
oh yeah.
We just get half chubs from the hot fucking chief of police or whoever she's trying to be. No, captain.
man.
Captain.
She's burning up, and you're like, pull her shirt off. It's the only way.
Suck on her tits.
There's CPR through the boobs. It's the only hope.
Yeah, and then Samuel L. Jackson stars as Marcus Banks, who plays Chris Rock's dad.
Tied up these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Jigsaw. I was gonna do training. I was about to say Jigsaw ain't got shit on me, but no.
He does drop a motherfucker, though.
Yeah, he does.
He has to.
He does.
He's a badass.
But as Bono mentioned last week, he's kind of not in this movie a lot. He's maybe in the movie's an hour and a half, which thank you for making it an hour and a half, but it still seemed longer than an hour and a half.
It went on a little longer than it should have.
Yeah, by the end of it, I was just like,
let's
give me the twist already, because I'm fucking sick of Chris Rock yelling this whole movie.
Yeah.
Which is my main enjoyment about this movie is obviously Chris Rock, and probably not why most people would think. I thought he was super over the top. I did not know, like, what did he think he was he trying to be funny or was he trying to be serious? I don't know. Dude.
I think he was trying hard to be serious because he's so funny, you know?
Yeah. And so you get the first trap, which is like a guy that they like put his tongue in this contraption on the subway, and he's like on a stool, and he basically has to jump off of the stool and cut his tongue off before the train will run him over. And he bitches out, and he cuts his tongue off right before the train.
He does it,
you might as well. You might as well let the train just hit you, dude.
That hurt, and then it hurt a lot more right before it didn't hurt.
It hurt a lot, and then you died. Like, come on, you should have just.
And you still didn't have a tongue. You died without a tongue.
Yeah. So it starts off with that, and so it's pretty. It's probably the most gruesome thing in the movie, right? This movie's not even. It wasn't.
They pulled the fingers off.
Yeah, that part.
Oh, that one was pretty.
That one was yeah.
And then they showed like a image of the tongue just hanging there.
Yeah. It's one of the more brutal moments in the movie. This movie is not as brutal as I expected it to be honest with you. Like, the traps are kind of whatever. Compared to some of the shit that they've done in the other movies, these are kind of tame. Right from that, you go into Chris Rock basically doing a bit. He's in a room full of people, and he's doing a Forrest Gump bit for like, I don't know, 2 minutes or something.
It's a good one.
And it goes from like something pretty horrible to like stand up, basically. And then that is the only time you see Chris Rock be like likable and he's like joking around. From then on, Chris Rock is at a 10 the whole movie. He's just, motherfucker, why fuck you, and like all this shit. He's just
fucking intense.
He's just always picking a fight with somebody.
I mean, granted, he is the one getting messed with by Spiral. He seems to be like the guy that he's trying to fuck with the most.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, right off the bat, from other than that first scene, before even it gets into that, he's just dialed up at 10 the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Just fucking screaming, everybody's his fucking enemy. It's him against the world, bro. And then so you find out that Samuel L. Jackson's like his dad. He was like a hero cop. He used to be the captain, and you know, Chris Rock's always just kind of been like the
living in his shadows.
Yeah, he's a disappointment, if you will, or something. The movie has like a very 2020 message or very woke stuff where this movie is basically about corrupt cops.
Yeah, getting their comeuppance.
Yeah, but it's interesting because, or like, again, spoilers moving on, but the people that are white people suffer too. But the main people that are being tortured in this movie are black people. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Rock, the captain looked, looked Latina. Latinx.
Definitely Latina.
Yeah,
she likes to wax herself.
So yeah, you would think that if they're gonna make this woke ass Saw movie about like fuck the cops, it'd be like a bunch of white cops just being fucking killed.
You don't
or
want to
something.
be too direct.
It's direct. It's already direct.
They did it evenly, you know. They had some white cops, some ethnic.
Yeah,
it's a very diverse town.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Spiral is not necessarily a sequel. It's almost a reboot where it has no connection to the other Saw movies other than you see a picture of Jigsaw at one point and they mention Jigsaw. They're like, this guy's copying what this guy did, but it has nothing to do with that story. These are new characters.
No flashbacks of Jigsaw
No. And this movie, again, follows that formula of this movie is riddled with fucking flashbacks. You could flashback a shitload of time.
Yeah, shit's about to go down and then it already went down and you got to go back.
You're like, why is this shit going down? They're like, well, hold on, we'll show you.
We're about to memento your ass right now.
That whole cop thing. Oh, so the killer, the Jigsaw in this, who's not Jigsaw. That's the whole thing. The whole thing it needs someone to be named Jigsaw because Jigsaw was just trying to teach like people, like bad people, like give them a chance to live. Some of these seemed like, you know, like people were not going to live through this. Even when they did what they were supposed to do, they die. And Jigsaw was just like, there's ways out of my traps. You're going to suffer, but there's ways out. And this is just like some dude killing co-ops because they're a bunch of corrupt people and stuff, you know? And that's what this guy's doing. That's what it ends up being.
Yeah, it's just...
He just wants to...
He's got a vendetta against...
He doesn't want to just hurt like bad people. He wants to specifically hurt corrupt cops. Which is... I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. That was the twist. So it's like, what? Who's this fucking guy? And then also, I don't know about you guys, but I think in season, I don't know about you, Ozzy, but you kind of figure out who the bad guy is like halfway through the movie, right? Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I'm all trying to think who the hell it was. I watched the whole thing. I didn't even know who it was.
It was his partner. Spoilers. It was his partner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fuck yeah. That would have been, yeah.
But there was a scene in the movie.
They made it super obvious.
There was a scene in the movie where he borrows his phone. And he's like, let me borrow your phone. I was like, why? And he's just like, my phone's not working. Just let me borrow it. And he leaves with it. And I was like, ugh, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. That's actually, yeah. That's
like, God damn it. Why'd you guys do that? And then he gets killed off screen. You don't see him get killed, but they tell you he's dead. And it's just like, obviously, this guy's going to be the killer. And then a little bit before that, Caesar was just like, because there's like a plot point where Chris Rock is a hated cop because he ratted a cop out for just shooting a motherfucker for no reason because he was gonna like rat him out on the stand. So Chris Rock rats him out, and then after that, just the whole force fucking doesn't like Chris Rock. And then his dad's the fucking captain or whatever. So he has like some protection from his dad, but nobody fucking likes him. There's all this history going on here. So as it turns out at the end, the guy who cop shot had a child, and then that child ends up being the fucking Chris Rock's partner.
No.
Yeah. And you just see it coming, and you see it coming too early. And the whole point of a Saw movie is like,
you're not supposed to.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a fucking
element of surprise.
Yeah,
like,
it's supposed to be
shit.
like, oh, that was the bad guy. Oh fuck. It's like, no, they get to a point in the movie where you're like, that's the bad guy.
Sloppy.
And then you're just like, I know this movie's doing its best to tell me this isn't the bad guy, but I know it's the fucking bad guy.
Based on his actions, this fucking guy is fucking suspicious right here. Right?
Yeah. And then the movie ends with like with Samuel L. Jackson. They've got him like, the traps in this movie are also completely unbelievable. The trap that Samuel L. Jackson is in at the end is like, how did you pull that off? Yeah. He's like he's like a human puppet basically. He's suspended.
He's getting drained of a certain amount of blood at a time. Even there's like 12 of those canisters.
Dude, that seemed like they said how much blood is in the human body, right? Which I can't remember, and I'm not smart to know that number off of my head.
1.2 liters.
1.2 liters? You know?
No, it seems like it'd be way more.
He says the amount, and then you see how much blood is in all those jars, and I'm just like, that seems like more.
Yeah. There's a lot of jars.
That seems like this motherfucker should be dead.
It made a circle around him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jars. They're like 2-liter bottles each.
Yeah, they're big ass jars, and they're like mostly full.
Yeah.
So this guy should already be dead. And it's just like, what if he took longer to get there? There goes the game. It's like, oh, I had this whole thing, but your dad died before you got it. He's dead, so what do you want to do?
Game over. I'm sorry. and there's 1.2 to 1.5 gallons.
Okay.
Still less than I expected.
I don't know. Yeah, by all the blood that was around, I feel like that
there was more.
It's more than a fucking gallon.
But then again, it's Samuel Jackson, so
it's got more blood.
Yeah,
it's sangrón.
It's got more motherfucking blood
than any motherfucking.
Yep. And then
he just kept hanging guys up, and he wouldn't show up. And he's like, "Fuck!" Next guy, you're like, all right, this is his dad. He better show up, man. I'm out of guys.
And then it ends with like another like woke moment or whatever, because he's basically tells he's trying to make him shoot his dad, because his dad was the captain back when all this corruption was going down, and he was like basically
allowed it.
Yeah, he was allowing it to happen. So he's basically like, dude, you were a good cop, you kind of saved my life or whatever, so I want you to help me fucking punish corrupt cops, and you basically got to shoot your dad in the fucking dick to to prove your loyalty to me.
Not just his dad, fucking Samuel Jackson.
That's right. The bad motherfucker himself. Yeah. And then so he decides not to do it. He's not going to shoot his dad. And then at this point, like SWAT's like coming in or whatever. And I don't know. But when the cops show up, the contraption that Samuel L. Jackson's wearing, like a gun comes out of it and it points at the cops. And then they all shoot him and stuff, which is like, oh,
survive.
It's all ironic, you know, like, oh yeah, the corrupt cop who fucking was shooting all these or let all this shit slide now gets gunned down by a bunch of cops when he shouldn't have been gunned down. He was black. I don't know.
They were mostly white. The SWAT team was pretty white. There was no LL Cool J on that SWAT team.
Which I wonder if that was Chris Rock's idea. Like, I have an idea for fucking Saw. Let's make this a fucking
woke.
Like a woke, the cops are corrupt kind of thing.
No, that's because that's not even his type of comedy.
That's not comedy.
Political activism.
Yeah, that's not his thing. He doesn't do that shit.
He did this movie. Yeah. He did.
I mean, I could see it's like, what if a black man snapped and started killing cops?
It's not believable.
I'm like, okay.
I bet they'd end up hanging us and then shoot us at the end. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, they were like, get Sam Jackson. You got a movie.
Shoot Samuel L. Jackson. Fuck, am I going to get canceled for this, man?
Yeah, man. Pretty good, Chris Rock.
Thank you. Anyways, I think we've gone on long enough on this whole Saw fucking history here.
Pretty good one.
All the other Saw movies, I think this one might be. It's top 2, my least favorites. The other ones are silly and they're, gory or stuff. But I always enjoyed them. I watched everyone. I watched the first 4 in the movie theaters, and then after that,
this is the first one that I saw.
Ha! You went in a downward spiral. Starting the other way around. Anyways, but yeah, we should wrap it up. You got any? I mean, would you guys recommend this movie to people?
I mean, if you don't got shit to do on a Friday night, you know, fuck it.
There's still not that much stuff in the theater.
Yeah,
right. You want to take your girl? You want to take a girl out on a date?
There you go.
Like she's gonna see some pretty messed up stuff. She might want to
start dating a cop.
Yeah,
got a movie for her. Hey, girl, call me Sarge. We're about to go watch it.
Yeah, but yeah, for me, it is definitely on the low end of the Saw movies.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of Saw like I am, I mean, watch this movie. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it, even if you have to wait.
Chris Rock, Sam Jackson. It's not the worst.
That alone's worth it. That alone's worth it.
That's reason enough. That's reason enough to go see the movie, because Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson did a Saw movie, and you should watch it. Yeah, and it's woke.
It's got a hot captain.
Oh yeah.
Let's not forget about Garza.
Oh yeah, and they take away her hotness. They put a bunch of like wax on her face and fucking. I guess they didn't take away her hotness.
You know what? From the neck down. That's how you. That's
titties and ass was still on point.
Still warm, still jiggly.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how she made it to the top.
But that was a stupid trap, because like they were like, oh yeah, wax is gonna like fucking melt your face till you die, or there was like a fucking like a blade or something by her back. Like you have to stab yourself in the right place to paralyze yourself. It's like, she's not a doctor. Where did she know that she's gonna be stabbing the shit out of... God, I'm trying, dude. I don't know where to stab.
Where is it? Is there an instructional? Where are the instructions?
Yeah, you should have put me right on it, dude. And I just had to let go.
Yeah, that one was fine.
Would you? I mean, shit. I guess I would just paralyze myself and then get somebody to kill me later, because I definitely wouldn't want wax being poured on my face till I died. That sounds awful.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So I'd paralyze myself, and then I'd be like, tell, my brother, hey, dude,
get me some heroin.
Go ahead and end this.
Finish me off.
Yeah. Anyway, that wraps it up for this week. Tune in next week. I don't know what we're gonna do. It's always funny because I always say next week we're gonna do this, and then we end up doing something completely different. So I'm not even gonna say what we're gonna do.
You're gonna do something. Something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna come out next week. Make sure you tune in.
Oh yeah.
And signing off. Caesar, you got anything to say?
Just fucking
great talk.
Tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
It's fucking right, man. Fucking right. Alrighty. Well, that'll do it for us, man. Signing off.
Yo.
Sayonara, sorry.
The Electro and Bono Movie Power.